Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Jake, and this is the 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. This is kind of the middle tier of Ford's Mach-E lineup. If you recall, we drove the regular Mach-E last year. There is this GT in the middle that is higher performance, and then there is the GT Performance Edition, which sits above the regular GT and offers a little bit more for those people who are really serious enthusiast drivers. Now, the GT is, of course, a little bit hotted up compared to the regular Mach-E, and by a little bit, I mean a good amount from power and torque perspective. So let's talk about what this Mach-E GT is, talk about how it is different from the regular Mach-E, and what it doesn't have that the Mach-E GT Performance Edition does. And then we'll get it on the road, of course, on a back road, see how that all works out, and we'll get it on the highway because this Mach-E GT has Ford's BlueCruise hands-free cruise control. So we will get on the highway and see how that all works out, explain the whole process there as well. Before we get started, if you like what we're doing, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you think it's all really rad. If you don't like it, do all that anyway. Now with all that, on to the Mach-E. All right, so let's do a quick little walk around here. As far as what's different on the front end, you'll notice the grille. These cars don't really have grills, but in this case, Ford has done kind of an inset appearance of a grille here with the GT. The non-GTs have this painted body color. You've also got some little changes here to the front lip, the insets here by the wheels with some vents that lead just right here for some aerodynamics. They don't go to the brakes or anything, but slightly different front end. Moving around here, you do have red painted brake calipers and a unique set of wheels. These wheels are unique to the Mach-E GT. And the way that you can tell the Mach-E GT versus the GT Performance Edition is that the Performance Edition gets a different set of wheels that are a multi-spoke design. So if you see these, I think they look kind of like flower petals meet old Porsche phone dial wheels. Kind of cool wheels. These are on the regular GT, not the GT Performance Edition. Now these are a 20-inch wheel. These are a wider tire than you get on a regular Mach-E. The regular Mach-E gets a 225 millimeter tire. This is a little bit wider. This is a 245. Still seems to me like maybe not a ton of tire for a car that makes this much power and torque, but it is 20 millimeters wider. Now continuing back, you do have your charge door right here, of course. This is for your home charging, and then DC fast charging is just right there with the extra two little pins. And then the rest of this is fairly standard Mach-E as you move around to the side and the rear of the car. Out back here, you do, of course, have this GT badge in the center of the hatch lid. And that is really all you're going to get as far as visual differences. Of course, you do have the black on the bottom of the bumper that kind of matches the front, but in general, visually it is fairly similar to a regular Mach-E. That front grille and the wheels are the two things you're going to notice that are different. Taking a look inside here, again, this is fairly similar to a regular Mach-E, although your seats are going to have different stitching and accenting here. This kind of copper color on the piping, the stitching, the insets, that is unique to the Mach-E GT. And that is carried out also into the center kind of shift console, whatever you want to call this guy here, and on the steering wheel as well with this stitching. So the copper accents, again, are a great way to tell that you have the Mach-E GT, and there's this embossed GT logo on the armrest. Again, everything is fairly similar in here. If you get the GT Performance Edition, you do get more heavily bolstered sport seats. So these are pretty much similar to the ones you get in the regular GT. They are power adjustable. The driver's seat has lumbar, two-way, but they are not the most heavily bolstered thing. These are meant more for comfort over anything. We can go ahead and pop the frunk. Not like there's any engine up front to show you, but we'll see what's up here anyway. So of course, popping the frunk, and you have your front trunk storage area here. It does have drain holes that you can pull out if you want to put some shrimp or some beer or something here for a tailgate, as Ford indicated you could. Of course, this being a fully electric Mach-E, this being a fully electric car, all the Mach-Es are, of course, fully electric. There is no real engine to speak of or to show you, so all I can talk about is power from electric motors and batteries that you can't really see. But I did mention this had more performance over the regular Mustang Mach-E, and it does. It is pretty substantial. The regular Mach-E has 346 horsepower. This one has 480. That's a pretty substantial jump. Even more so, you've got more torque. You are up from 428 pound-feet of torque on the dual motor regular Mach-E to 600 pound-feet. If you get the Mach-E GT Performance Edition, which again, this one is not, you get the same horsepower, but you get 630 pound-feet of torque. And of course, we have to talk about range with this Mach-E GT. All the GTs are dual motor, and they are rated for 270 miles of range, and they can charge at 150 kilowatts of charging speed. So fairly competitive charging speed for the most part. You've got some newer electric cars that can charge up to 350 kilowatts, but that architecture is still kind of rare. Having 150 kilowatts is pretty good for most new EVs. Now, weight-wise, we should talk about that. You've got more power and torque. These do weigh roughly 5,000 pounds. They are not, you know, the most lightweight vehicles in the world, but 600 pound-feet of torque can overcome a whole lot of things, and we'll talk about how it drives here in just a second. So as we get up to the on-ramp for the highway here, I want to talk about BlueCruise. This is my first time experiencing BlueCruise, and that is Ford's hands-free cruise control system. And the way it works, it is not like Tesla's autopilot, where it uses live car data to let you drive allegedly hands-free. This is an advanced driver assistance system worth keeping in mind. There are no self-driving cars on the road today. I need everyone to repeat that after me. There are no self-driving cars on the road today. All right, so we're gonna come up through this nice little toll booth. I'm gonna slow down to an appropriate speed, and we're gonna get our 5 seconds of full throttle fun in 3, 2, 1, now. It is just wildly quick. It doesn't feel super neck snapping. If you've driven like a Tesla dual motor, or you know, a Plaid in particular, this is not that, but it is plenty fast. So more than adequate acceleration, of course. Now let's talk about BlueCruise. So like I said, it is not full self-driving. There are no full self-driving cars, but it is very smart because Ford uses highways that they have mapped. So it's got tens of thousands of miles of highways that have been mapped across the country. And if you are on one of those highways, it will let you do hands-free cruise control. So it uses all the regular driver assistance bits to help, you know, lane centering and adaptive cruise and all that. But this little system right here, this is looking at your face. And as long as it detects that your eyes are pointed forward, it will let you take your hands off the wheel. So I'm gonna get over here in an empty lane, and all you have to do is push the regular cruise control button right here, and you will see, I don't know how well you can see on the cluster, BlueCruise on, watch the road, be prepared to resume control. Oh, now it wants me to resume control. I have resumed control. And there we go. So it can take a second to make sure it knows what lane you're in and what road you're on. And now I've got a full blue cluster. The display in front of me is all blue and it says hands-free. My hands are off the wheel, my feet are off the pedals. The cruise is set at whatever speed I want. I do not have to explicitly follow the speed limit, and it is just doing its thing. If I look away for too long, it will throw up a message on the screen and it will say, look at the road. If conditions are not met otherwise, and it doesn't quite know what to do, it fails gracefully, which I like. So what it will do is it will retain the lane centering and the adaptive cruise, but it will cancel the hands-free part. It'll chime and say, you know, retake control. And if it thinks that you're way too distracted or conditions are really, really bad, it will actually disable itself entirely. Again, very gracefully, it will chime and put a message up that says, you know, retake control. But it'll do this. You can do whatever you want. I have been car dancing. I have been, you know, chatting with friends, like whatever you want to do, as long as you keep your face pointed straight ahead. You can just do this and drive hands-free, and it's just happy to do it. So impressive system. It handles curves pretty nicely from what I've experienced. Obviously, if the road gets too curvy, you have to step back in and take control. And it has done a pretty good job when lane markings are not super clear, you know, if the lines are not marked very well or something. It does a pretty nice job of that too. So generally, I think I like it. I think it does a nice job. It is a very bizarre sensation to just be sitting here, you know, hands off the wheel, and as long as I stare straight ahead, I know it knows this highway that I'm on. It is mapped to the car. You do not have to be using the navigation to use BlueCruise. I have no destination input in the system right now. I am just driving because I know where I'm going, so that's it. I just have the nav screen up to have something on the screen. And obviously, as you know, car pulls in front of me, it slows down, all that good stuff, as you would expect from adaptive cruise control. So that is BlueCruise. It is very impressive. I have really enjoyed it so far. So with that, let's head to some actual back roads and see how the Mach-E GT performs on those. All right, so by the magic of BlueCruise and my own two hands, we've ended up on some back roads. Let's talk about how this Mach-E GT performs on back roads. Of course, it's worth mentioning, batteries on the floor, your center of gravity is very low. In general, every EV will handle fairly decently for what they are, just because they don't feel like they want to roll around as much. So body control is generally pretty decent. Now, beyond your extra power and torque with this being a GT, the only real mechanical difference that this one has is those wider tires. They are still going to be an all-season, not a summer tire, so overall grip is you know, lower than it could be, but it's fine for most drivers in most scenarios. You've only got the need to have the one set of tires in most cases. I mentioned this is dual motor, it is all-wheel drive. However, let's see how it handles a couple tighter turns here. So entering at a speed I find appropriate. It does want to understeer just a touch, and if you power out of something a little bit, it does feel like it wants to push the rear. And granted, I do have it in unbridled mode, which kind of changes how this operates. I think if you've got it in a lesser drive mode, either whisper or engage, it's going to feel a little more balanced and less playful, but we like playful. Playful's fun. On bits of road like this that are more sweeper corners, everything feels really nice. The steering, you know, it's not the most communicative, but I think it does a pretty decent job for this type of car. And then the brakes, if you need them, you can one pedal drive the car, you know, lift right there and then back on. It'll regen and slow you down enough. If you need the pedal, it does feel pretty good both on initial bite and as you work your way through it. Everything feels pretty nice. We're gonna come up on a corner that is a kind of a slow downhill left, and then you know you can accelerate out of it. This is not going to be obviously the fastest thing in the world, but you know they've got this marked at 15 miles an hour, so this is a pretty tight, hard left. So I'm off throttle here. It's regen braking. I want a little more brakes, so I'm in, turning. It wants to understeer quite a bit there. I'm surprised that the front end doesn't have more bite. I know these are all season tires, but you would think they could get a little more bite out of it, which does kind of surprise me. It really wants to plow, and I did slow down for that. It's not like I went in there and like really overcooked the turn. It just wants to just kind of keep on going straight. Obviously on sweeper curves like this, I think everything feels pretty good. But on those tighter turns, it's definitely something you want to watch out for, because it does feel like it wants to plow a little bit. Now again, here we're getting something tighter. These are not so bad. But then again, we've got some tighter stuff here, and right here, this is another one. Set the nose, turn it and gas it, and the back wants to push a touch, which is kind of fun. Again, like I said earlier, it gives it some character, but the front end definitely wants to plow, which I find very surprising. I don't recall the non-GT doing that, but I only drove it on big sweeper corners, nothing that was quite as tight as that. But usually with something that's a more performance-oriented vehicle, I think you should be able to carry some speed, you know, if you're driving with any sort of common sense. And you know, typically you can brush the brakes and set the nose, and the whole thing will want to rotate a little bit. And in this case, if you do that, it really just wants to, it just wants to kind of plow a little bit, and then the back will come around, and it's just, something about this is a little goofy to me. But if you're driving completely sanely, then you'll probably be all right. All right, and that is it for this review of the 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. Thank you so much for coming along. As always, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe right here on YouTube. If you like what we're doing, you can also give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Out Motorsports. And if you would like to connect with a community of LGBT automotive enthusiasts and amateur motorsports competitors, please head over to outmotorsports.com. We have an entire community over there, and we would love to get to know you. That is all for now. Until next time, please stay safe and be well, and we'll see you for the next one.